Hello. Hi, guys. If you're there, I see a couple people hanging out. Some likes. I appreciate the likes ahead of time. And I am going to revisit some stuff I have talked about only a few times in some previous videos because it's just not a lot of good information out there, not a lot of updated information, but more specifically, it's probably one of the biggest, best kept secrets as far as secret societies. I'll tell you that because it's just not talked about by many people at all. And the sad part is, it really should be talked about by the right wing black community who are not talking about it. Not one bit. They're not bringing it up. They're not mentioning it. They're not saying anything. So it makes me question some of their motives. But it's hard to say, kind of hard to say. But I'm going to mention that I have this video up that's only 2 minutes and 50 seconds that I think you guys really like. I think you'll really enjoy it. Watch it. It's supposed to be motivating, inspiring, keep you moving and taking those steps, even though some days it's frustrating. And like today, I was again kicked off of Twitter, and it's really weird because it says I'm suspended, but I can still go there and see, but I can't do anything. I can't message anybody, like anything, post anything, and I don't think you can see anything I've posted. I'm not sure, but yawn again. So I assume that it's probably completely suspended. And if you can't hear me or I'm too loud, please let me know, or if I sound like a robot or anything like that. Hey, Patricia. So no more Twitter for me. I may make a new account if I feel like it tomorrow. I am not feeling like it because I'm annoyed by it. You got people going, they win if you don't make a new account, but I'm thinking they win anyway because I'm already shadow banned. My YouTube channels get immediately demonetized every time. And then once they monetize them, there's no views coming in, and they're raking in like a penny here and a penny there. And so I wasn't sent to do this though to make money, so I'm not going to complain about that. I do have this raffle almost completely filled, which is fun. These little grams are really cool. Thanks for letting me know how it sounds. And I have a bunch of those little grams to do more raffles with along. I'll do it with other things or maybe just grams, depends on how many I do, but they're so cool and they have there's so many different designs on them. A whole bunch of them. Just like I bought like 50 of them. So they're pretty fun. And if you want evidence, you can research it yourself. You are welcome to go do that. In the interim, I'm going to get rid of you. Bye. And I'm not doing that. That person commented earlier and they can kick rocks. So 2 spots left on this raffle. That's it. They're only $5 spots. So if you're interested, PayPal, Cash App, right here shows you how you can. Yeah, I am. Okay. Shows you how you can do that. If the super chat's the only way you know how to send money, that's fine. I just let people know that YouTube does take some 30% of the amount that you send in on a super chat. But I don't ask to send extra, but send a couple extra dollars if you feel like it. Anyhow, this I've been looking at the Boule stuff again, and one of the guys that talked about it a lot back in like the 90s goes by the name of Steve Coakley. Went by the name of Steve Coakley. He's no longer alive, of course, because if you talk about anything like this, you don't, especially if you're getting out there and gathering people, you just don't last very long. So pray for me because I've done a few videos on this, but it's not like I'm really getting people gathered to talk about it. But the Boule is, if you're not familiar, they're Black Greek secret society, all Black members, and they're come from 9 different fraternities and sororities called the Divine Nine, and the 10th being the Boule itself. And they have a logo that you could see on this image that I had up in the beginning. This logo here with the Boule, the Sphinx, and these Greek letters, and the colors blue and white, and some of these people being the founding members, and I'll talk about that a little bit. But the reason this is, I think, really crazy is that very few people are talking about it, have talked about it. Some people have gotten they've talked about it a lot. Like this guy, Steve Coakley, but the one video he made, I can't find it, right? I can't find it. And I'm going to tell you guys right now that I titled this Malcolm X versus Martin Luther King because the history we've been forced to believe is that Malcolm X was some bad guy that was pushing for a violent Black Panther movement, Black nationalist movement, and that Malcolm X was like this messiah. So obviously there's trolls. Anyway, I don't know where they're coming from. Sad for them. They must be really bored with life. So anyway, I hope that I'm coming. Oh, yep, I'm still in the green. Okay. Basically, Martin Luther King probably wanted to change where he was, the direction he was going. I'm not sure, right? I don't know. But ultimately, he was killed, and that kind of tells me that he was probably going down a road they didn't want him to go down, probably moving away from the controllers that they wanted him to say and do. So I don't know. I don't have really an opinion on whether he was a good guy or a bad guy, but I definitely believe he was Boule controlled. Now, what does that mean? These are elite Black people. This started in 1901 by Webb du Bois, WB Webb du. Anyway, I don't have all the names in front of me, but basically by 6 men who they wanted a Black Freemason group, and there was only the white Freemasons. And so the white Freemasons finally, after some 10 years, said, okay, fine, you can have your Prince Hall Masons. And they started their Prince Hall Masons, and then they wanted to have people who controlled the Black community. And that would be college educated, right? So Greek society, college educated Black men who were also monitored by their controllers. And they're called the overseers. And who are they? Of course, you're going to have the Rothschilds, particularly Meyer Amschel Rothschild. You're going to have Cecil Rhodes, which is a really interesting one because you've heard of the Rhodes Scholar. Well, the Rhodes Scholar, if you're a Rhodes Scholar, that's this guy. But this guy Coakley did a lot of research, and I have 2 other people I go to for my research on this that I trust. But this guy was probably a homosexual and a rapist and a murderer. And he was involved in a lot of the blood diamonds with the Africans over there in Africa. A lot of the stuff, the De Beers blood diamonds. He was behind a lot of that. So there was a lot of murder. He would just kill, allegedly, he would kill Black people, Black kids, and no one ever cared because these were slaves, and it was just an ugly time, obviously. So to get a Rhodes Scholarship as a Black man should be completely offensive, but unfortunately it isn't. And, like this one guy that I have a book from, he says that every African child is eventually taught about Adolf Hitler killing 6 million Jews, but they're not known about what Cecil Rhodes did, and yet they're out there trying to get, some of these educated Black people are trying to get Rhodes Scholarships. And the first Black man to get one was Elaine Leroy Lockey. And I can't remember what year he got this scholar. 1950. Ooh, hold on. In 1907, he was appointed the first and only Rhodes Scholar, a position that he was promised to have until his death. And then the next Rhodes Scholar, the next Black Rhodes Scholar, wasn't until 1963. So they're not only controlling them, that they're. Is this thing on? Is anyone still there? My connection looks bad, so maybe I'm getting kicked off. I don't know, but I'm not sure what's going on. But I guess somebody will eventually tell me if they are here, so I'll just keep talking. Then you get into, let's see, who else? Emmett J. Scott, is he the... Oh, that's part of the Boule now. So we're out of the... So basically, a lot... The Rothschild family and the Rhodes are some of the overseers of the Boule. Oh, good. I'm glad people are here. Oh, and King Leopold II of Belgium. He's got involvement. You got to keep the Brits involved. So that's the main thing. And thank you for letting me know that you're there, because I just didn't know. Can I? Yeah, I can turn up the sound. I had it down from. Mary, let me know how that is. Thank you. Had it down from when I'm with have Revel on. He's much quieter than me apparently. So just wanted to make sure I wasn't getting kicked off because I had two trolls at the same time. It was probably the same person on two different accounts. And so anyway, going back to the Boule, I'm there. I'm going to mention a few people. So like William Webb DeBow, he was the one, WEB, also Bill, and by Bill, he was one of the founders among with 5 other people. These people are involved in NCAA or NAACP. I always have a hard time saying that. I'm not going to read a bunch of stuff to you guys because it's a whole bunch, so much. But I want to talk about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King a little bit because Jesse Jackson certainly is involved in this. There was a guy by the name of Robert Russa R.R. Moton, M-O-T-O-N, and he was obviously a member of the Boule, Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, NAACP. He passed away in 1940, and he was what would you call it, a mentor to, thanks guys, he was a mentor to Martin Luther King. And it is even said that Martin Luther King's speech was inspired by this Moton guy, and that his speech, I Have a Dream, was presented on March, at the March on Washington 1963, was actually written in Moton's backyard. And that being said, that this is a controller, this is, I did turn it up. If that's not loud enough, I'll turn it up a little bit more. But anyway, the point is about this is that I'm not trying to get you guys to hate on Martin Luther King Jr. or anything like that. It's not what I'm saying. I don't think he wanted to go out and be killed. I think it was a sacrifice for Jesse Jackson. And so when you look at the day that it happened, Jesse Jackson was with Martin Luther King, and they had moved his room, and he was on the first floor, and I guess they moved him up to the second floor, and they had done some test run either because they had gotten a threat, or just to say, well, here's what we're going to do if we have a problem. And they've got a picture of Jesse Jackson with Martin Luther King Jr., and everything looks fine. They're just kind of hanging out. And then the next thing you know, he comes out, Martin Luther King Jr. comes out, gets a shot to the face, gets him through the spine. And what does Jesse Jackson do? He kind of runs away and hides for a little bit, right? And then once he comes out to give a speech, he says some obnoxious stuff. What he does is he gets down and he says, this blood was shed for us. He says that. He's crying at that. And he says, King's blood was precious and it was shed for us. And so he comes on the scene, goes up the balcony, the second floor where he was shot. He had moved his room. And then Jesse Jackson dips his hands in the blood and then wipes the blood on his shirt. And the only way they could describe it afterward was they covered for him. Andrew Young, who's a Boule member, covered for him and said, okay, it's fine. Said, people freaked out and did strange things. It was, I mean, what do you do in a moment like that? So obviously if you're Jesse Jackson, what you do is you take advantage. And so what he did is immediately after that, he seized the opportunity to hire he hired somebody to help him plan all his future interviews. And let's see, a publishing editor or something. Well, I don't know what you call him. Anyway, whatever. He hired this person right away to get on. He went on the Today Show like 14 hours after Martin Luther King was dead, had his bloody turtleneck. Oh, he hired a booking agent, right? So he was not too busy to hire a booking agent, but he was too busy to change his shirt because he had to go around with the bloody shirt on, right? He had to have the bloody shirt on. And just, you guys, you don't like Jesse Jackson. I mean, he's a piece of crap. We know that, so it's no surprise. But interestingly enough, after all this happens and he gets on all these interviews with his bloody shirt and, has got his booking agent, he rises up to power. And the difference between what the Boule wants for the Black American and what Malcolm X wanted was Malcolm X wanted, he's what's called a nationalist, a Black nationalist. Okay, so we all understand that Trump is saying he's a white nationalist. Okay, so a Black nationalist is not a bad thing. They want you to think it's a bad thing They want you to think that he was a violent dude that wanted to start this Black Panther group and you needed to watch out for him. Now, Black Panthers have been compromised almost since the beginning. So I'm not going to tell you guys that the Black Panthers are cool or good. We know that because they're getting behind Stacey Abrams, but they're armed and helping her out. Excuse me. Anyway, so this guy that I get this guy, he has had a real struggle. He can't get into this WordPress thing anymore. I don't know how they've locked him out, but at least his articles are still up. He was doing a whole bunch of videos on YouTube and he can't get his YouTube to upload anymore. I've seen him comment on some of the other people's channels that do talk about this, but he just can't seem to get his information out there anymore. He goes by Prince Ray, but his name is oh, I can't, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I put these links, guys, in my Discord that I told you guys about on Sunday. So you look at this guy who is a Black nationalist. What he wanted to do was he wanted them to have power and money. Like, he wanted Black people to have their own power and money in for their own community, to have control over the politics and politicians in their own community and of the people, not like Boule, right? He had to know about them because we're talking like, the Boule's been around since 1901. And, when the Black Panther Party was created, it was created by just a few guys, like 2 guys. And this particular guy says he was part of it too. So that's how he understands what happened. I believe it's true. I've read his stuff. It's really in depth and it's really deep and in depth, but it's intelligently written and it makes sense. You just got to read it quite a few times to start to understand it. But you look at this, and this is not a guy that was trying to cause violence, but they were afraid, right? They were afraid for him to stand up against their initiative, right? And so they had to do something about him. He dies, and then not long after rises Martin Luther King into the position of this, what would you call it, like a messiah, right? I don't know. And for the Black people. But they had like this plan, and they called it COINTELPRO, and it comes from apparently J. Edgar Hoover, and it was part of this Masonic stuff, of course. And there's a whole article, I'm not going to read it to you, but it makes a lot of sense to me now. It took me a long time to read through this guy's stuff to really kind of start to put this stuff together, because I have no idea. I have not actually been programmed much one way or the other when it comes to the Black community, probably just fully lacking any programming at all and not knowing anything. And so they wanted to destroy Black nationalism, created this COINTEL program, which was to dissolve this, make this stop. Their goals were to prevent the coalition of the militant Black nationalist groups, because in unity there's strength, right? And they wanted to make sure that nobody was going to rise into power. And obviously Malcolm X was going to be one such. Now, this guy doesn't get into talking about the controllers over Martin Luther King Jr. And not all these guys agree. I only have like 3 good people I turn to. And one guy, I asked him a question about what this guy says, and he's like, I've never heard of that. Coakley, I can't ask, he's dead. But anyway, I try to go through all 3 and just pray about it. But basically, there was a few people at the time that could have rose up into this position. And I think Martin Luther King was going to try to do that. And because he was going to try to go on the side of helping the Black people, he had to go. And then Jesse Jackson took his place, right? Because he's going to allow control. Prevent violence is what they said, but I don't know that the violence would have been because of the group of the Black nationalist groups, as we know with Antifa. It comes from the other side. And to prevent these Black nationalist groups and leaders from gaining respectability, right? So they had to discredit them, make us all believe that these are bad people, there's something wrong with these groups, make movies, have all these reasons to believe that we shouldn't trust them, and discredit them to the white community, of course. And anyway, I think if you look back, I don't know about you guys, but I was taught to believe that Martin Luther King Jr. was really trying to stand up with the civil rights movement for Blacks, but I don't think so anymore. And that Malcolm X was the bad guy, and I don't think so anymore. And then the final goal would be to prevent the long-range growth of these militant Black organizations, especially amongst the youth, because you don't want to teach the kids like how to know what to do with their own lives and have their own money. And so basically this worked. We can see that it worked, and they continue to have, I've done several videos on it. They continue to have their fingers in everything. And Coakley says it himself. It's not just me that says it. Coakley says it himself, that these black people that are running the black communities are basically living in the house while the rest of them are on the plantation, and they don't even know it. They don't even know that they're on the plantation. It's one thing to be on the plantation and be like, this stinks, but they don't even know it. They keep voting in the same people that keep doing this to them. You guys, that is what they're doing. They're voting in. I mean, you got people connected. I showed a video. The video, I think it was Get Out, where I showed a connection. I don't remember which one it was. Oh no, it was the one on Nipsey Hussle. There's a connection to the Crips in LA to this Congresswoman, Karen Bass. It's like, you know, she's got a connection via some of the local politicians there who had a connection to Nipsey Hussle. And I can't really say what his death was, what it was for. I don't know if he was getting into too much truth or if it was a sacrifice, but the point is it doesn't matter, because we don't even really know what was going on with Martin Luther King. This is the most secret society that nobody's talking about, that I get sad and frustrated because I see these right-wing black men not talking about it. And I say, who's going to talk about this? Like, who is going to... And I ask them, they don't ever respond to me, right? Who am I? I'm nobody. I've got no Twitter. I've got no Facebook. And I probably won't have any YouTube pretty soon. So who am I to listen to? They're not going to listen to me. And the interesting thing about these Boule is one of their mottos is light of the world, right? Light of the world. And of course, so that goes back to illumination, being enlightened. And, you know, and you look at the fact that they choose the Greek society. Well, black people have never been Greek. They've never been, and they really have to adhere to it. They are required to adhere to this Greek society, and they have to do it every May of every year. They have to, you know, just like the Skull and Bones. It is, in fact, a Skull and Bones for the black community. It's what it is, and they say that in their history book. They have a history book and everything. Hard to find. Now, here's the thing: is you can find stuff. You can find stuff on the Boule. It's kind of a soft disclosure, I would say. Quiet, please. Kind of a soft disclosure, because the Boule there's like Boule, what do you call it? They're giving out lots of money for school, right? God, why can't I think of them? Because hey, shush, please. Because my kids are being loud. I can't think of scholarships, right? They're giving out scholarships. They're not hiding that they're around anymore. I even created a whole. I decided I need to create a whole thing in my. Where is it? My Discord with a lot of these links. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot about this. I forgot about this. And I'm pulling this stuff up going, oh my gosh, these guys are just, you know, they're out there. They're making it obvious. But they're not, you know, like you sit here and go, I've never heard of the Boule. And I'll tell you, I've had black people who have seen my stuff and they're like, yeah, you're right on. So that's why I continue to like move forward with it, because I believe I'm on the right track. So I'm going to mention something else. This is crazy. So in the 1990s, there is a guy by the name, let me find my notes here, of Louis Sullivan. He was the U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services and a social activist. And he created what was called the National Violence Initiation, right here that you see the Violence Initiative Project. And the scary thing about this was a project to determine that, you know, mentally, what black kids were going to do when they grew up. It was a study on boys age 10 to 34 boys age 6 to 10. And of course, you got the New York State Psychiatric Institute behind it, and the U.S. Government. Let's see, one study, they were administering this drug fen-phen, which is now like a diet drug that's been banned. And they were all from impoverished families. Most of them were African American. There were some Hispanic, and they were made to fast for 12 hours. They put them through this whole weird thing to try to determine if they were going to be some kind of person that would show violence later in life. And there was also something to this that I haven't found yet, but Coakley was talking about, and I'm going to look for it, because this is hard to find, you guys. This wasn't easy for me to find. It's not at the top of the search. Let's just say that. And I'm not using Google. But basically, they were going to say, if you come out, we're not going to let them out of prison unless we can determine if their mind is right. You got the State Psychiatric Institute determining if these guys can come out of prison or not, looking at these kids. Well, it turns out in this particular study, right, I don't know exactly how it goes along with the other stuff that I just mentioned, because I don't have it all in front of me yet. But in this particular study, the results did not happen the way it was the reverse, right, of what the researchers said that was going to happen. The children that were just predisposed to aggression and violence turned out to have normal or elevated serotonin levels. They were going to say it was the opposite to show that that's why they've got this aggression and violence, just because they're, living in poor part of town, they're Black and some of them Hispanic. They're trying to show this predisposition. They're trying to show this. They're trying to do this. And then they were going to try to apply this to, and because they turned it around, even though their results were not accurate, they turned it around and they said, oh, well, that's because it's different in kids. It's different in kids and adults. So it still works, And that's where I think they were going to apply it to the prison system and say, we can't let these guys out because these are one of those guys. These are one of those guys that are predisposed to this violence and this at-risk behavior. And so this is another way of controlling their prosperity and progress in life. They're keeping them to a level. I had somebody come to me that said, oh, it's a known fact that Black people are not as intelligent as white people. And I'm like, well, if that were even remotely true, which it is not, but if that were remotely true, what are they giving them? What kind of drugs are in their food and their water? What's in their vaccines that might be different? I have a friend who has 5 children. Can you please stop that? It's loud. He has 5 children. He's Black. His wife is Black, and all their children are Black. And 3 of them have autism, you guys. Come on. 3 out of 5 kids? What are they giving them? So if there's an intelligence problem, which I really don't think there is, but if that was the case, then why aren't we asking why? Why isn't somebody going, I believe that this is a problem. I should look into it. No, instead they're acting like there are so many things that they have done over the years to make Black people look like they... Okay, honey, I can't come look. To try to make them look like animals. It's not just the Black people. It's been Native Americans and Hispanics too. But I'm particularly focused on this one because of the Boule that I've been looking at, right? Maybe there's a group over the Hispanics too. I bet there is. I don't know what they're called. Another secret society? Who knows? I doubt it. I don't know. How could I doubt it? But I guess it's because it's college educated, and I don't know how many college educated Hispanics are in the Congress and the Senate and stuff. There's probably a lot. I don't know. Maybe there's only a few. I have to look into it. But basically, they've been making them look like animals forever, comparing them to monkeys and apes and all these things. And you could still go out. I don't have all my research anymore because these videos were done on the old computer. But you could still go out and you can see that you can do a survey and ask people, do you think that Black people evolved from apes versus white people? And you will get a more majority to say that yes. And you can tell me in the chat that I'm wrong. I would never say that. Maybe you and I wouldn't. But I believed in evolution up until not too long ago. I don't know when you guys learned, but I didn't have Jesus in the Bible growing up. I didn't know these things. I didn't have the ability to understand these things. I was just given a free reign to believe whatever I wanted to. So I blew in the wind, right? So I didn't know these things. So I thought evolution was a thing. And if you're going to tell me we evolved from apes or whatever, I'm not saying I necessarily believe Black people did more, but come on, if you grew up in an area where that was pushed on you and you look at the characters, and even Jay-Z does it. He's got this J-Bo character, and people should be offended, and yet they're not. They're buying the freaking gear, and they're like, this is cool. I like this. Yeah, Jay-Z is just a cool dude. It should be infuriating. This is Jay-Z's character. Why does he look like this? Because you have to believe that they're nothing more than animals, and we shouldn't care that much about them, and they're just violent. Look at they're just violent. They're all violent. And yes, they are killing each other, but you know why? I bet if you did any research, you would find out that there are people that have said, and I've seen this, I can collect this data myself. I've done it, but I got to do it again, unfortunately. But I've seen videos where they're saying they are finding this artillery. They're just finding it. They'll be walking down an alley, I don't know, walking somewhere by a train track. And these guys have multiple stories from multiple different areas, multiple different cities. And it's the same story being recorded. They're saying they walk along and there's being weaponry just sitting out there. And they're like, oh man, well, let's take this. One guy did take him to the police, and he was like, the police were, yeah, okay, great, we'll take care of it. And he said he came out again, and another time, I don't know, a week later, a month later, I don't know when, but must have been an area he lived, and there were more out there. So police weren't doing anything to stop it. They were in the same place. And then you get these other guys saying the same thing. Well, they're putting these guns out there. They don't have the means to find the kind of weaponry that they're using just because you think, oh, they can just go to the guy on the corner and get some sawed-off shotgun, or, you know, well, you can saw off a shotgun, whatever, you guys, whatever, AK 47, 57. I don't know rifles, right? I don't know, right? I only know handguns. But some of these obnoxious, the guy was saying, he's saying these are weapons we can just go to somebody and find. You can just go buy these. You know, we have drugs, we have all these other things, but you can't just go buy some of these weapons. They were put in there. They were put in the neighborhood for them to use. They want them to kill each other off. They want them to keep voting these piece of crap people like the guy from Maryland, you know, Baltimore, and Cummings. This is what they want, you know, and they want us to not really consider them worthy, because even their own musicians, and you look at the dude that takes a knee, they're a joke. The dude that takes a knee is for sure committed to the Boule, because he is, I did a video on him. Oh, he's Kappa. He's a Kappa. Just like Lecrae, the hip hop Christian, supposed Christian hip hop rapper. These guys are Kappa educated, so they're part of the Divine Nine, and they're just they kneel on the altar. That's what they do. They kneel to the altar of one of the Greek gods. Anyway, and so this is what we're dealing with. I just wanted to kind of do a refresher course on some of that. Oh, Nick Cannon, eat that. Oh God, of course. Yeah, see, this is the thing, is they act like they can make fun of themselves, but you're talking anybody that's in a position of this kind of power, right? Nick Cannon or Jay-Z or Kaepernick, or, you know, even Lecrae, he's making good. I guarantee you Lecrae is doing well, because even secular people even people who aren't Christian know who he is, right? These people, they're doing something. They're doing something to get there, and, you know, they're probably involved. If they're not Boule, which far as I understand, to be actually Boule, you can be Divine Nine, but not Boule. Certain age, you have to be certain wealth, you've got to be, and some kind of prominent figure. But you know, so but these guys are connected because they're Divine Nine. They're going to do the work because guess what? They swore to every year in May. They have to swear to doing this. And don't you think it's funny that it was 6 guys that started it? Why 6? Why 6? You know. So I've done a few videos on it. I would say, let's see, Get Out definitely talked about it, and I did one on Nipsey Hussle, even not knowing a lot about him. I did one on that. I did, let's see, the one about Lecrae. I remember what I called it. They called it the Goatman of the Boule. So that one is also same subject, and then yeah, especially Jesse Jackson. But you know, they're all bad, but still, something about him just really irks me more than anything. And the sacrifices and all that stuff. I mean, we know. Yeah, so Get Out gets into it too. But the thing about No Malice is he kind of exposes some of that, but not really Boule. But my thing would be to know about this, guys. I would just want people to know. I want people to know. Of course, you know, Kamala Harris is somehow connected with, of course, Jesse Smollett and all these people, Jesse Jackson, anybody that's in any kind of power, you know, Kaepernick, especially if they're really making a lot of money. If you've seen that they've gone to any of the Divine Nine schools, they're bound to this. They're bound to these fraternal orders, and they will die by them, or else they could be killed or totally lose everything. Because if you look at Marcus Garvey, who was trying to get people out of America back to Africa way back, they made life really rough for him, so he never accomplished it. But hang on just a second, yeah. What is that? Oh, he'll come up by himself. Gotta leave him alone and he'll come back up, I promise. All right, and when I'm almost done. No, I'm almost done. Yeah, the Pope is so evil. Ugh. The light of the, yeah, and you know, they sing to Lucifer. If you go look, Jonathan Kleck covers that, but so do other people, where they're literally singing to Lucifer in that Vatican whatever cathedral, and it's just really messed up. But what I would say is just know this stuff, guys. Like, know about it. You don't have to talk about it a lot, but know and keep a watchful eye, and then you're going to understand their plight people's plight more, everybody's plight, not just black people, but I mean people's plight. Like, yes, it's frustrating that they vote for Democrats, but they literally have no idea what they're doing. They're starting to wake up. And I think we should pressure blacks on the right to talk about the Boule. I think if they got pressured more to say, if we just said, what was this Boule? Like, what is that, some kind of controlling thing? Is this a secret? What's this? You know, because we're talking about everything else. We're talking about everything else. Why not talk about that? So I would encourage anyone who wants to do any research on it to please join my Discord. Hey, Joe, please join my Discord because, yeah, take care of your babies, of course. If you can come on there, I have a whole bunch of categories I put in here. And you can give me articles and it's all put together so nicely. There's a link. And that way you can help me if there's something you're interested in researching. I've got all these categories like fallen angels, giants, you know, like Nephilim, black goo, transhumanism, Eric Dollard even, because I swear to God, I need help with that guy. The stuff on cannibalism, even ham radios and frequencies, gold and silver, quantum computers, black cube of Saturn, and now I've got a Boule one. I've got MK Ultra stuff. Anything that you guys want to share that isn't in some of that stuff, you would just put it in the general chat. But I really strongly urge you, if you want to research or you're interested in this stuff and you want to help, that helps me because I'm also on here. I'm on Discord with Methods and Red Pill and Space Shot and a bunch of other people, you know, Hulkinator and all these guys. And we all talk to each other. So this is helpful for all of us to give us some research. And I have my own channel. You know, I'm keeping it open. Some of these guys like to keep theirs more private, understandably. So, but mine is open. So if you guys want to help, if you guys want to bring me info, there's the link there for my Discord. I'd love to have that. I'd love to see what and you can talk in there. You can chat, you can voice chat, or we can just message openly. And there's even private messaging. So please do that. And I'm going to be done for tonight because I literally almost forgot to go live. And I'm like, what am I going to talk about? But I had just been, you know, being reminded of some of this stuff. And I need to do another video on it. And I do want to do one on the Black Mirror. But yeah, I think I'll be doing that one next. So I'm going to be working on it. And I want to just close with a quick prayer because my kids are needy. But God bless them. So Father in heaven, Jesus, we love you so much. We're so grateful to be able to come together like this, to have this kind of time where we can talk about these things, to open each other's eyes, and to seek and speak truth. And if anything I've said is wrong, I want everyone to forget I even said it. And if it was right, I hope it sticks in their mind and they think about it and they're able to use something, you know, use it somehow in their lives. And I pray for all our children and all our family members and our parents and our sisters and our brothers. People who haven't taken the red pill, I pray for them because they really don't know their plight and they really have been programmed. And I find myself breaking programming every day, but glory to you, God, that you have changed me. Thank you so much. And let's keep trying to change people with humility, knowing that we were once there, capable of being there, and be humble and loving and always giving the glory to you, Jesus. So in your name we pray. Amen. God bless you guys. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here. Yeah, buffers because I'm praying, right? All right, guys. Well, I'm going to come back on Thursday and I'll have something, I'll be a little bit more prepared. Although luckily I have some knowledge about this subject, so it works out. And I wish you a wonderful good night. God bless. Love you all. Peace.